Personal growth is one thing, but transforming your life into the best version of you requires tools not just for your mind, but for your heart and even your spirit too. It's about learning how to truly love and value yourself so that you can break free from seeking validation, acceptance, approval from others, and living some sort of codependent life. This is how you truly shine your brightest. Join me in cultivating a richer experience within you to harvest abundance and vibrant love through your life. Welcome, I'm D. Grant Smith, and this is the Growth Farming Podcast. This podcast shows you how to grow your best life, healthy and vibrant relationships, career success, happiness, and more, all from within you. Your relationship with you, your higher power, and others. I'm so happy and excited that you're here with me today. On this podcast, we learn and practice how to treat our hearts and minds like a garden to grow success from within in every area of our lives. Here's the key, though. It's love. Are you ready? Winner. So I've put together for the first time on this podcast a bit of a series, and I'm going to be running this for the next several episodes. It's a collection of tools that will really, truly transform your life. Now, I know that term or that phrase gets used a whole lot, personal transformation, transforming yourself, all this stuff, and I really don't want to overuse a word or a term, but these are tools that have been absolutely magnificently powerful in my own personal life and transformation from places of immense, deep brokenness, and amongst other things, incredible codependency. Now, I talk a lot about the first steps that I took in overcoming and even just addressing and realizing, becoming aware of the deep codependency that I had operated from for most of my life. I talk about that more in depth in my book, Be Solid, How to Go Through Hell and Come Out Whole. You can get that book and a bunch of other resources right now at framework.besolidbook.com. So some of the tools that I'm going to share with you here are actually mentioned in more depth and detail inside the book. So if you want more on how to use these tools and what steps you can take, go grab the book. Once again, at framework.besolidbook.com. What I'm giving you here are not just some good ideas. I'm giving you the exact tools that I have used and continue to use. Yes, I continue to do the work on myself because I'm not giving up on me. That's what self-love is. These are the tools that I've used to revolutionize my own life. And again, creating a process and a series of transformational experiences and leveling up in life to go from being an incredibly insecure and fearful person into a very radiant and vibrant human being who really is in love with life. And you can hear that in my voice. If you could see my face, you'd see it too. I love life. I love myself. I love people. There's not this neediness, attachment to trying to get something from somebody else being the reason why I'm so me. And a lot of the things that we are really conditioned in our culture, in our society, by our parents, by our teachers, by our mentors, by just about everybody is needing some sort of love and some sort of approval from other people for us to feel good about ourselves. When we realize how broken that way of living is, that's really one of the key steps in making the first part of changing yourself and learning how to go within, learning how to love yourself, and learning how to make yourself the garden of vibrancy. So if you want to make changes in your life for the better, and if you want to really become the best version of yourself, not just one time, but each and every day, then I encourage you to use what I'm sharing with you here in this episode and for the next several episodes. Actually, if I'm honest, I want you to share and I want you to use what I share with you on every episode, okay? I love to hear your feedback, though. You can let me know by sending me an email. Here's my email address, dgrant@dgrantsmith.com. Make sure you put the D in there, otherwise it's not going to go to me. All right, so today, here in this episode, the first tool I'm going to share with you is journaling. Now, it's no secret that the act of writing things down has incredible power. Too often, We try to rely on just our memory to get things done, whether that's trying to stay organized or trying to move forward or trying to plan or trying to just see things more clearly. We are, sometimes we just try to rely too heavily on our memory. Now, I want to say real quick, if you hear a little squeaky sound in the background that sounds like Baby Yoda, that's because we are joined by my sidekick, Tigger. You can't see him, but he's here. He might squeak it in just a minute. He likes to kind of nuzzle the microphone when I'm doing this stuff. Okay, so like I said a second ago, we try too hard sometimes to just rely on our memory to get things done and to try to move forward and try to push a vision forward. But here's something else that we often try to do, or we end up doing sometimes, that really gets in the way. We get stuck in our heads trying to, quote-unquote, figure it out. Can you relate to that? Has that been a phrase or a thought that you've heard or that you've said to yourself or to someone else in just the past 24 hours? I imagine it probably has. Trying to figure out what to do, how to get to where you want to go, how it's going to work, what it's going to look like. Figure it out, trying to solve all the problems and put all the pieces together ahead of time. And it's crap, man. Here's the thing. Journaling is about taking all these ideas and all these thoughts and all these plans and getting them out so they can be seen. And when you see them, then you can start putting pieces together. I would consider that putting pieces together and gaining clarity is a much better exercise in personal development than trying to figure it out. Journaling lets you be able to see not only where you are, but where you want to go and where you're going and the individual steps that you're taking in the process. Journaling is a great way to change the way that you think. And it's a great way to see yourself more clearly. So one way to do this has to do with helping us change the way we think about ourselves. Now, the science behind what I'm about to share, there's different scientists that say different things, and so if you have heard reports that my percentages are not exactly accurate, please forgive me. But I'll try to throw a range in here. Maybe that'll make up for maybe that will make up for some differentiation. There, I said that. Somewhere between 85 and, I guess it's about 80 and 90 to 95% of your brain activity, and the thing that actually runs your life is in your subconscious mind. It holds all the viable data that governs the things that you think about yourself, the things that you think about other people, the ways that you operate in certain situations, the things that you believe about life, the things that you believe about yourself. And all of this stuff is very, very under the surface. The surface level, which is roughly 5 to 10% of your thoughts, that's your conscious brain. So, if fear is something that you have struggled with your whole life, or insecurity, or the need for other people's validation and acceptance and approval, that's likely because of some subconscious programming that is going on behind the scenes inside your mind that you're not aware of. Okay? One of the ways that we can reprogram our subconscious mind is by changing the way that we speak to ourselves, changing the way that we think about ourselves, and also changing the ways that we program our subconscious mind. Now, this, what I'm about to share with you now, isn't necessarily journaling, but it is a piece of journaling, and that's listening to affirmations right before you go to sleep, and it will help to reprogram your subconscious mind. I encourage you, if you do that consistently every day for not just 21 days. It actually takes 66 days to solidify new programming in your mind, okay? So really what I'm also suggesting here in these tools that I'm going to give you is not just something to try out once or twice and then, it didn't work for me. Okay, try it for 66 days and then tell me how it goes, all right? Affirmations. One of the great ways to utilize journaling to change the way you see yourself is by writing your affirmations. Now, I talk once again about the writing of affirmations inside my book, but what I want to do now is focus on the journaling aspect of using affirmations and also the journaling aspect of writing down your story. Let me give you a little bit of backstory on me, though. I started journaling when I was actually in high school. I used my journal to write down what I was experiencing, and sometimes I would try to write songs, because at the time I was playing a little bit of guitar, and most of us playing a lot of drums, but I would write down my thoughts. Really, I was writing down my thoughts and my feelings. I didn't really realize that that's what I was doing. I had all this stuff inside of me that I wanted to get out. One of the things I would write down, like I said, was an idea for a song. This was before I really started writing stories necessarily, but I get an idea for a song, and I'd write down a few lines in my journal, and then I'd end up journaling about usually the person I was writing the song about, and it was always a girl. And then I'd write about how much I liked her, and I'd write about why I liked her, and then I'd also write, and this is an indication of what was going on in my subconscious mind, I'd write down why she probably would not go out with me. I would also dream about stuff that I wanted to experience. Now, at the time I was playing in a band, we didn't really have any shows. I didn't think that we would get any. So I wrote down, we're playing great music, but I don't think we're going to get any shows. Well, guess what? I think that we played maybe 2 shows in front of an actual audience the entire time that my band was together, and that was roughly about a year. So there's something to be said about the stories that we tell ourselves, especially the stories that we write down. So one thing that you can do, I'm kind of taking a little bit of a tangent here, but one thing you can do to kind of see where you are in life is look at your life, look at your journals, and you can see your thoughts. And you can see some of the subconscious things that are going on behind the scenes that you're not necessarily aware of. Journaling is a great way for you to see what's really going on underneath the soil of your mind garden. So if you want to do some tending in there, you want to see what weeds you need to pull out, read through your journals. Now, I dated a girl in my junior year of high school, and I broke up with her after a few months, and then I tried to get back together with her, and I wrote all of that in my journal. And I did not believe in myself at all. And it's really evident in those old journal entries. So once again, you can really see what your beliefs are when you read through your old journals. I wrote a whole lot about struggle, and I experienced a lot of struggle. And this is why being intentional, not just about what you journal about, but being intentional about what you are fostering and what you are cultivating inside your mind garden. Now, once again, if you're not super familiar with when I'm talking about mind garden, I'm talking about growth farming. I'm talking about your thoughts. I'm talking about your conscious thoughts, yes, but I'm also talking about being aware of your subconscious thoughts. What are you fostering inside your mind? What are you cultivating inside your mind? And if you notice that you have a bunch of fearful or limiting beliefs that are very unconscious or subconscious, using this tool of journaling is a great way to begin the process of changing the way that you think about yourself. Now, I'm not saying not to write down your pain and suffering or your painful experiences so you can get them out. Yes, please do that. But make sure that the focus and the whole point of your journal isn't just for you to focus on just the difficulty or the struggle or the pain. I want you to ask yourself, after you write down difficult experiences, after you write down the stuff that you just have to get out of you, whether that's good or bad, ask yourself this question: what have I learned from these experiences? And ask yourself this question: how can I grow and move on from here? Spend some time with yourself. Journaling is a powerful way to teach yourself about you. That's why this is such a powerful tool. It is an incredible way to begin the process of changing your internal story, and that's what's going on inside your mind. Because what you write down is kind of like a contract that you're making with yourself. If you're somebody that's into manifestation or the law of attraction, or you read Neville Goddard like I do, and you're into the law of assumption, and everyone is you pushed out, then you know the power of journaling. You write down what you want to experience, and not only do you write down what you want, but you begin to shift your mind in a way to where you start to believe that what you are writing down and what you want is not just a dream and not just a fantasy and not just a wish, but you begin to believe that it is happening or that it has happened. You affirm to yourself the power and the good that you already are, and you use the power of your imagination to let these ideas, let these wishes, let these desires begin to come alive, and use your imagination in a very vivid way. Journaling is a great way to make this happen because we can write down the things that we envision. We can write down the way something looks. We can write down the way that it sounds. We can write down the words that are spoken. We can write down the feelings that our skin would feel if we were to actually have this experience. Maybe the way things smell. Maybe the way, especially the way that we feel on the inside of us. It feels so blissful and happy and amazing and awesome, and use these adjectives as you write down your wishes and as you write down what you want. And use this time to basically script the life that you want to experience. Here's another way to use journaling to totally transform your life. All of us have written love notes at some point in time. Doesn't matter whether you're a guy or a girl. We've all written love notes to somebody else that we are totally fond of and totally in love with. I want you to write a love note to yourself. Now, that might sound really bizarre and really strange, and that is okay, because you, my friend, you are worthy of the ultimate love. Of all the people in the world who deserve to be loved by you, you absolutely do. Now, I'm somebody with a magnificently badass, humongous heart full of love, and I love to love other people, but the one person in the entire universe that is the most deserving of my love is me. And when I realized that and began to make this shift into valuing and prioritizing myself first and got over this mixed, misplaced, totally crap idea that I was taught very young in life, that if you put yourself first, you're full of pride and you're arrogant and you're full of yourself and you're going to get judged. And let me tell you, my friend, that is a load of crap. Love lives inside of you. For you to love at maximum capacity, you have to fill your own well. And actually, the love in your well is for you. You don't stop at the top when you're filling your own well. You let it overflow. As a spiritual practice, and I'm going to talk about this in a couple episodes, meditation is a great way to fill your well and go within and tap into the divine source of love. The source, the universe, God, however you care to describe the divine, letting the divine fill you up with love and not just stop when it gets to the top, but be overflowing. Here's the thing. The love you give to other people, you give from the overflow. That way, you always have more than enough because the contents of the well, the contents of the cup that is inside of you, that is yours. That's how the glass is never half empty or half full. It's not a matter of perspective. It's a matter of being fully whole in yourself. And it's your task, your responsibility to fill yourself up and love yourself to the max. So, write yourself a love note. And if it's hard for you to think about doing that, then I want you to say, okay, if I were to receive a love note from someone I love with my whole heart, what would I want it to say? And begin there. Write yourself stories. Write yourself a story about what the experience is like to succeed in your dreams. Imagine yourself as a movie being played, and you're watching as an audience member in a theater, and you're watching your dream storyline being played out. What happens in your dream story? Write a story about you succeeding in your dreams. This is empowered journaling. Write about your experiences. At the end of the day, write about your experience. Write about your day, the good and the bad. Write about what showed you stuff about yourself. Write about the lessons that you learned. Write about your strengths. Write about your powers. Write about the things that you're becoming aware of. Write about the things that you see or that you perceive to be weaknesses. Don't focus on them, but don't deny them either. Acknowledge yourself, and as you're writing these things down, these aspects of yourself, love yourself in the process. I love myself for being incredibly positive. I love myself for being incredibly empowering. I love myself for being incredibly kind and gentle. These are things that I say in my journal. I also love myself for not always being organized. I also love myself for not always finishing everything in the time that I want to finish them in. I also love myself for sometimes forgetting to follow up and do things that I tell myself I'm going to do. Now, why am I loving myself for doing things that I see as weakness? Because if I can love myself in my weakness, then I can love myself anytime. And you loving yourself in the good times and in the not good times is the art of grace. It's the art of unconditional love. And the more grace and the more unconditional love you give to yourself, the more full and the more rich and the more transformed you become. Here's an easy way to practice grace. It's okay. I love you. Tell yourself this all the time, and you'll find yourself practicing grace with every single person that you know. Here's a big thing about journaling. Allow it to be a conversation that you have with yourself, that you do for you. Love yourself enough to write down your thoughts, write down your dreams, write down your ambitions, write down the love that you have and the love that you are. Now, I'll give you a couple of other resources and some things that I think kind of help to capitalize on what it is that I'm sharing with you here. Here's some people that I've learned a lot from in the realm of journaling. They include best-selling author Benjamin Hardy. I really encourage you to check out his blog. That guy is fantastic, and he does some really amazing and insightful videos on YouTube as well. And one of the main things that he talks about is the power of journaling. Oprah Winfrey is somebody else that's taught me a whole lot about the power of journaling as well. And the more I read biographies about super successful people, one common denominator that they all share is they all journal. I don't think I've read a biography or seen a documentary about somebody that's really successful and has been successful for a long time that does not practice this art form. And it is an art form because it is about practice. There is no mastery necessarily for this. It's something that you do over and over and over and over and over again. And if following in the footsteps of successful people is something that you want to do too, that's something that you prioritize in terms of modeling after someone else who's successful, then I really highly suggest you take up this tool. So nowadays, when I do journaling, I described a minute ago about what my old journal practice looked like, of just writing down thoughts and experiences and attempts at writing love songs. But now I write myself love notes about how much I love myself, and I affirm my inner and my outer strengths. I write down and claim what I want to experience, and I trust that God is bringing these things to me. Actually, I trust that God is bringing me everything that I ask for in the right divine timing. Now, I do write about my experiences in terms of what I go through on a day-to-day or, end of the week sort of basis, and I write about what these things are teaching me about myself so that I can continue to grow, because each of us get to be our own teachers. It's a really powerful thing a really important thing for you to see yourself as a teacher of yourself, because you've been with yourself your entire life. You're going to stay with yourself your entire life, and you loving yourself and growing from your experiences is a really important thing. Now, I use journaling as a way to not only keep a historical document of my experiences, which that's what I was basically doing before in my old journal practice, before I gained a conscious awareness of the power of writing down my thoughts. I also now use it to teach me where my actions and where my attitudes and where my thoughts and where my beliefs are not in alignment with my true self. This is true self-love. Now, after meditation, which again I'm going to talk about in the next episode, or after I have a spiritual experience, and I tend to have quite a few of those, I write down what I saw and what I heard and what I felt, or what really stuck out the most to me. And once again, I'm going to talk about meditation in the next episode of this podcast. There is immense power in taking our thoughts and transforming them into words through pen and paper. Now, I'm talking to you about journaling, and for me, journaling is using pen and paper. Some people use a computer to journal, and okay, that's fine. That's your thing. Some people use a tablet, whatever. I want to say it's not quite as important whether you use pen and paper. There's different science and different psychology behind this stuff. I'm not going to get into that right now. For now, I think the most important thing is that you're taking these thoughts and you're taking these experiences and you're taking the stuff that's in your mind and you're getting it out and you're putting it in front of you so you can see it. It's a constructive way to organize your dreams, organize your goals, organize your experiences, and learn from yourself. Now, usually some of the best epiphanies and realizations happen after you think out loud. Hasn't that happened to you? You're having a conversation with a friend and there's been some stuff that you've been thinking about, and then suddenly the stuff that you've been thinking about just starts coming out of your mouth. And it all seems to make more sense now that you've spoken it out loud than it did when it was in your mind. Now, writing things down is another way of getting these thoughts into a tangible form where they can now take shape and they could become something greater than just a thought or an idea. Writing them gives them breath. All living things, everything that's alive, has breath. And I'm not just talking about animals. Plants breathe too. Think about that for a minute. All living things have breath. So what about you? What do you journal about? What do you journal about now? What does your journal practice look like? How often do you journal? What does journaling mean to you? I hope that from the tools and the insights that I've shared with you here, now you can take your existing journal practice and you can increase it. You can level it up to whole new heights. You can begin a process or maybe even grow deeper in a process of learning more about yourself. And if anything, valuing yourself, prioritizing yourself, and loving yourself more. Using this tool as a opportunity to see some things that you have had inside of your consciousness, your subconsciousness, that maybe you weren't aware of before. And letting that insight, letting this new awareness show you how you can take the proverbial weeds and thorns and other stuff that's inside your mind garden that you don't want, i.e. limiting beliefs, negativity, fear, doubt, worry, anxiety. You can begin the process of changing that. If you want some help on how to do that, on ways to change your subconscious programming, or ways to cultivate more love inside your mind garden, reach out to me. I'm here for you. Once again, my email address, best way to reach me, dgrant@dgrantsmith.com. Your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship that you have. Your connection with God, your connection with other people, all come from the love that you plant and that you cultivate and that you grow within yourself. Now, I'm here to help you grow more love inside yourself through peace and joy and fulfillment and abundance in every area of your life so that you truly do thrive as a human being. Now, there's more ways that you can connect with and grow using the things that I share with you here on this podcast, the growth farming methods for your personal success. And one of those is what I mentioned earlier. It is my powerhouse book, Be Solid, How to Go Through Hell and Come Out Whole. Now, I've put that book along with 5 other resources for you to transform yourself from within, including growing in confidence, creating more healthy and abundant relationships, and personal success. You can learn directly from me in less than the cost of a sandwich from Subway or most coffees that you would buy at Starbucks or something like that. All you have to do is go to framework.besolidbook.com and join me. All right? Until next time, I am your friend, D. Grant Smith, and I am just emanating and sending you rays of light and love from my heart and from right here on the Growth Farming Podcast. I believe in you, I love you, and I will see you soon.